In this video, we're going to take a look at two matches where I face up against a Amethyst Steel TIANA aggro deck with Ruby Amethyst Bounce. I go second in both of these matches, but the reason I wanted to cover this is because the Amethyst Steel TIANA deck is touted as a counter to Ruby Amethyst, and when it goes first, it definitely can be very strong because on their turn 7, they can end up exerting a TIANA with no cards in hand, which shuts off your Be Prepared when they pass back to you on your turn 7. But they do have to curve out more or less perfectly in order to do that, and if they don't, then the deck doesn't really get that combo off. Regardless, though, they don't necessarily have to go for that. They do have other means of winning the game via like aggro strategies. But what you're seeing here is the opponent, doing their best to play on curve. They have a Pascal on turn 1. They missed a 2-drop, but they have a Hercules on turn 3. Now in this match, you're going to see me make some odd choices because I actually wasn't sure what I was facing up against. I guess I was just not aware of this deck being a force in the meta, I guess, right now. Or, maybe not a force, but it's just like kind of existing as a rogue option, as a counter to Ruby Amethyst. But you can see me play very conservatively. And at this point, I'm okay with the way things are, because I see the opponent on 3 cards. They only have a Hercules on board that quests for 1, and the lore count is only 2 to 1, so it's very, very manageable. We do have a rabbit and a snake in order to generate more advantage, and we have a Teeth and Ambitions and a Be Prepared ready to be dropped later on. Now, I was still fearing a whole new world, just because, again, obviously I don't know it's a TIANA deck yet. And I do make some very questionable choices here. So we're going to end up, again, just playing very conservatively, go for card advantage. And I want to keep inking because, again, I'm dumping my hand, even though I am drawing, because I do want to play around that whole new world, not realizing that the opponent on this kind of deck obviously does not play whole new world because they want to actually dump their hand, not get 7 new cards. They kind of reveal the Maleficent here, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so they're like aggro. And I make, I guess, a misplay. I guess I would categorize it as a misplay in inking those Mauis. Well, obviously now that I know that they're on TIANA, it's a misplay because you want to keep the Maui as it just runs through bodyguards and TIANA itself. Because I'm inking them because I think like, oh, I have Be Prepared, so I'm safe, right? The opponent is down to 1 card in hand, and this is where the TIANA deck can kind of fall apart, is that if you are playing towards this end goal, you're trying to dump your hand, which means you have no resources, right, once your board gets outed. And so as you can see here, our very awkward play, or our very slow approach to the game in order to maintain control of the board and still have a hand and whatnot, has paid off because the opponent is virtually on no resources. We have the removal in the Tremaine and the Be Prepared. We have the Merlin Rabbit for draw. We have a Teeth and Ambition to help handle the aggro, and we continue to ink, right? So the opponent went first, but now we're ahead in the ink count now and on board presence. And if we draw another bounce card, we're going to get both those Tremaines back. But regardless, you can see it's just kind of total domination here. So we're going to go ahead and pass on this, leaving the rabbit up because, again, I'm trying to like play around a whole new world maybe, thinking that they might crash their prince into the rabbit and then force me to draw and then whole new world me or something. So again, just making the wrong reads at this point, which does happen from time to time. They drop a Tinkerbell, and I'm thinking to myself, do I just Be Prepared here because I don't want them to sing a whole new world? So again, you can see me making very odd decisions because I'm trying to play around certain cards. And then I think here they reveal the TIANA. Do they? Yes. Okay, so they dropped the TIANA here. And the reason they didn't drop it earlier was because they probably did fear the Be Prepared, because this is the thing with the TIANA deck, is that while, yes, it's nice to play it out, it needs to be exerted for its effect to actually go off. So if they just play it and I already have 7 ink, then they probably know that I'm going to still drop the Be Prepared. But anyway, since they know that I cleared the Be Prepared already, they don't put me on having a second one because I didn't Be Prepared when they had the single TIANA on field. But it doesn't matter because at this point we're ahead in the lore, we're ahead in the board presence, and we are keeping up with their questing power or exceeding their questing power. So there's not much that the opponent is really going to be able to do. Unfortunately, this is on 19 ink. But again, the opponent can't quest fast enough in order to close the game out. And so at this point, the game is pretty much over because all it takes is for us to quest next turn. And if we draw a goat, we close the game out directly. Otherwise, we just wait another turn and quest again. The opponent can only go to 16 on this next turn, or maybe even 17 if they draw a goat if they play that. But otherwise, nothing they can do. We have all actions in our hand, which are all useless since the opponent does have TIANAs exerted. But at this point, they know it's over and they just end up scooping it up. In the second matchup, I actually get the same person in a row on the ladder, And once again, going second. You can see me putting back my high-costing inkable cards there. But we draw absolutely terrible. Our earliest available turn to play is turn 3 with the current hand. So we mulliganed away we mulliganed away 3 and 4 drops, and we drew into nothing but 3 drops, which is absolutely crazy. So now that I know what this opponent is on, I actually thought, you know, when I saw their name come up in the mulligan screen, I was like, oh, okay, this should be fine. But with a hand like this, there's something, you know, sometimes nothing that you can really do. Despite us having, you know, a very weak hand because we can't play in the first 2 turns, the opponent doesn't necessarily run away with the game. They do have obviously a decent board presence, and now we're going to try to draw our way out of this by dropping Maleficent first, because there's no point in dropping a mini Surfer since it would likely just get outed, and we're not in the aggro strategy game right now. We're in the we need to stabilize the board state game. The opponent drops a Pinocchio and a Maleficent, and I'm just like, okay, now this game is starting to get far away from me here. The opponent is definitely trying to play around a Mim Fox, so you can see them only questing with an Eric, because if I do drop a Mim Fox, then they want to be able to take it out with the hook, I guess, and they only want to lose their Eric. So, you know, I knew this was likely a bait, but I have to out the opponent's cards, and the only way I can out this Eric is by dropping a Mim Fox here. So, you know, my hands are kind of tied. And, you know, the opponent might just opt to say, I don't even care about taking out your card because I have, well, yeah, now definitely, I have questing pressure on board to go for game within the next 2 turns. So they're just going to quest with everything and put the onus on me to continue to challenge. Unfortunately, there's not much that we can do. I think we played this right, but no matter what, you know, given the way that the opponent's hand kind of curved out on that 4 ink, there was nothing we can do. So we're going to do our best to salvage the situation here. We're going to cycle the Mims, and this will allow us to take out 2 threats in the Prince and the Pinocchio, and then Teeth and Ambitions away our own Mim Fox, because we have to slow the opponent down, right, to get rid of one of their Maleficents. They would have only gone to 19, but there's no way I was outing their whole board before Be Prepared anyways on turn 6, right? So there's nothing we can do, and sometimes I think that, you know, these games happen. You can't get upset. It is what it is. It would be nice to not have these kind of games and still be able to be in it, but yeah, it happens. Let me know if you would have done anything different, but yeah, this is the way that the aggro can also win if they don't have the TIANA strategy. That's going to wrap it up for this video though, guys. If you liked it, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.